How's it going, Craig?
Good, thank you. Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Your name's Craig, right?
It is Craig.
It's not Craig Wright, though, right?
No, the way that came out wasn't quite right.
Craig Raw.
Craig Raw. Yeah.
Raw. And what do you work on, Craig?
I work on Sparrow Wallet.
What is Sparrow Wallet?
It is a desktop Bitcoin wallet,
Okay.
open source. Yeah, used to kind of do your cold storage, talk to your hardware wallets. Basically, all of the kind of a general purpose tool for interacting with on-chain Bitcoin.
Okay, so does it do Lightning?
It does not, no.
Arc stuff, Spark stuff?
No, it's pretty much an on-chain wallet, so layer one, but it tries to be pretty comprehensive in its layer one approach.
So if you want to transact on-chain with a wallet, this is a good option to use, but only desktop, right? I feel like it's important to note it's not mobile.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So I focus on the desktop platform. Obviously, you've got a bigger screen there, which is helpful. Mobile is obviously very important as well, but I like to just keep my focus on one area and make it as good as I can.
Yeah, that makes sense. I use Sparrow for a lot of stuff. It's really nice. I think I like Sparrow because it's one of the things that you've told me in past conversations, but that I like about Sparrow is that it's really easy to use to explain to people what's going on with like setting up multisig or like when they create a new wallet. I feel like it's got one of the best interfaces for like, okay, I want to create a wallet and I want lots of people to have to sign in order to move the coins around, right? We call that multisig. And so it's got this really amazing setup thing where these little sliders where you can be like, okay, how many people do you want to have to sign? How many people are able to sign? So one of the things that you've explained is like one of your motivations for making the wallet was that you wanted it to be a teaching tool, right? Other than like having cute little sliders, I mean, maybe cute's the wrong word for it, cute sliders and like nice information, is there anything else that you feel like you've added to the wallet that makes it particularly informative?
Yeah, so I've tried to make it so that you can kind of learn about Bitcoin gradually over time, so that the most basic functions are there and they're sort of obvious, but it kind of shows you a little bit more. And I try to do that where I can in a progressive way, so that you can kind of hover over things to learn more, but it's not immediately throwing lots of information in your face. So just that kind of progressive revealment is an approach that I try and put in as much as I can. You can hide things if you feel it's too much. You can show them again when you feel like you're ready to kind of learn more and investigate more and understand what's going on.
So it's like a playground for investigating online or on-chain wallets.
That's it, yeah. So that's kind of the whole idea is that, and many people have said to me that they really enjoyed learning more about Bitcoin through using it. So
That's cool. It has mode stuff like you wanted to play around with testnet coins or signet coins. You can do that in the wallet too.
yeah, so
really
nice. it makes that fairly easy to do, and I always recommend people do it.
Yeah, one thing about Sparrow that I find really impressive is when you're setting up a new wallet, you can do like watch only, you can do like software like keys on the machine, you can do but your variety of hardware wallets that you integrate with is impressive. Like you guys are probably, or your wallet is probably one of the few that integrates with more hardware wallets than any other wallet. I guess for me, like, what was the process of like making sure that you cover more hardware wallets than other? Like, how much of your time do you spend integrating with new wallets, or are there protocols that are similar enough that adding a new wallet isn't that much more work?
No, the protocols are all very different, extremely proprietary. There's no standards whatsoever, except in the case of QR codes, which we do actually have a couple of standards in place, but certainly for all the USB ones, they're all dramatically different from each other. I just really want to give Bitcoiners the optionality to be able to choose different devices. I don't want to be trying to decide the winners and losers in the hardware war. I want to be fairly neutral there, and people must try and use things and find which ones are easy to use, which ones protect their coins better. It's always just been important for me to be able to support lots of different ways of doing it, because ultimately that makes us more secure, right? The more ways we have of securing our coins, then the less chance there is that one particular way turns out to be flawed in some sense. We've got others that we can then rely on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I love getting new versions of Sparrow Wallet because sometimes there's more stuff in the hardware wallet list, so it's like almost my way of discovering what new wallets are available. If you had to like call out one of the people, one of the hardware wallet developers that you thought was like pretty easy to implement with, is there anyone that you felt like did a better job than maybe its peers?
Um, so, I mean, I would say that, they all kind of, you can sense a lot about the development ethos behind each team
Okay.
when you integrate with them. So, I've talked about this before, but like, for example, the cold card team, like they've got a very pragmatic ethos. They kind of build like the minimum thing that does the job well.
Yeah.
That's kind of their sort of ethos. Whereas the Bitbox team have like a very comprehensive, we're going to do as much as we can,
Okay.
but it's a much more complicated, but maybe more standards based in a sort of broader sense. So, it takes more time to integrate, but they've spent a lot of time thinking about the decisions that they've made, I could say.
Makes sense. Interesting. It's fun. Do you have a favorite hardware wallet on the list, or you don't have
Yeah,
favorites?
I
It's
don't.
like
I try, as I
yeah,
say, to be as neutral as I can. People must try different things out. That's part of the learning of that we all have to go on, because if we're going to secure our coins, we need to try and understand what we're doing, and you've got to experiment and try different things.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I love using Sparrow Wallet for a lot of stuff, but again, like you said, you guys aren't on mobile, so I love that I can use the descriptor functionality, which is the standard protocol, and import it into a mobile wallet then, so I can see what's happening across different devices. So no mobile wallets coming. Gotta like
No.
look for. Um, do you have a mobile wallet that you think does a good job, or are we like no favorites here?
Yeah, I don't really have any favorites at this time.
Yeah.
I am excited to see a few that I think are going to be coming out of beta soon, but at this time, hard to put any names out there because I don't want to be, putting that out before I've given them a good
Yeah, that
test.
makes sense. So, like, a lot of people think that transacting on Bitcoin is going to move to layer two. And layer one's going to get too expensive. People are going to get priced out. As someone who runs probably one of the more popular wallet options for people who hold and use Bitcoin, do you think that's a worthy thing to worry about? Or are you like, no, on chain's going to be probably a thing that a lot of people are going to use in the future?
Well, first of all, I would say that's definitely something I wouldn't worry about because it means Bitcoin's being used, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that wouldn't be a worry at all, just to start with. But look, I think that people will spend different amounts on different layers,
Yes.
and so when what you're buying your groceries with is going to be different from
Got it.
what you're using for your cold storage.
Yeah,
And your cold storage, you might just be making 1 or 2 transactions a year to kind of warm up your cold storage, move it to a layer 2 wallet, and then you'll be spending that. But the idea with cold storage is that it remains cold. So you don't need a lot of transactions, and you don't need to interact with it all that often. So I think that there's going to remain a need for use for normal sovereign individuals on multiple layers.
cool. Yeah, makes sense. So one thing as a developer in the Bitcoin space, we've talked a lot about how you're spending a lot of your effort because you work in Java. Sparrow, it's one of maybe the more popular Java applications in the Bitcoin space. You've been spending a lot of your time going through all the libraries and dependencies and rewriting them. Is that right? What were some of the bigger ones that you had to like spend time on rewriting, and what's left, I guess, on that project?
Yeah, so the most recent one, which was quite a big effort, was rewriting the library that talks to all the USB hardware
Oh,
wallets.
interesting.
So that's
Okay.
a
Funny.
library that I called Lark, and it's basically doing all of that work. So as I was saying earlier, all of these completely different proprietary protocols that these hardware wallets have used, and that was in a Python library called HWI.
That was when Ava Chow was responsible for,
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I moved away from that because I wanted something, the just to kind of explain why I do this sort of work rather than use someone else's library, which is the kind of way to do it. Or at least the kind of more familiar way to do it is that if I have this piece of someone else's code written in a different language, I have to recompile that for every single platform that Sparrow is released on, which is currently 5. So then I have to go and test it across all those different platforms. So any change,
Oof.
even the smallest change, creates this burden of maintenance. Whereas if I write in Java, because it is supposedly, and it's pretty good at this, being right once run anywhere,
Okay.
then I can be sure that if it runs on my main development machine, it's going to run on all the other platforms. And that turns out to be pretty much true. So it really it's for me, it's a saving of time.
So you invest the time in writing it, but then you save it on the long tail
That's
of
right,
not
yeah.
having to test. I mean, I used to be an Android developer, and we'd write code and have to test it on 6 devices for every UI change or
Yeah,
whatever. Totally understand wanting to drive down the amount of time that you invest, right,
yeah,
on every
yeah.
change. So, um, was Lark the last library that you had, or are there more dependencies that you're looking to replace in Sparrow?
So I'm actually pretty much done with that process now. So I've been going
Cool.
through Sparrow, and a lot of this is like under the hood, so you don't really get to see it. There's not that many features on the surface, but under the hood, I've just been going through and really updating all of the dependencies so that it's all modern and maintained open source code. Not necessarily my code in all cases, but code that I know that if there's some issue or there's some new hardware or whatever it is, I don't have an issue. I don't have to worry about how am I going to go into that particular library
Right.
and figure it out, whatever it is.
Right.
It's all very available for me to go and fix it if I can't get the original library maintainers to do so.
Cool.
This episode is brought to you by BTC++, the premier technical conference series for Bitcoin developers. BTC++ is not your typical Bitcoin conference. It's a world-class gathering of engineers, hackers, and builders focused on the cutting edge of Bitcoin development. From protocol research to Lightning, smart contracts, covenants, privacy tools, and beyond, BTC++ dives deep into the work that's shaping the future of Bitcoin. Join us for our next event in Riga, Latvia on August 7th and 8th, focused on Bitcoin privacy, and see all our upcoming events across the globe at btcplusplus.dev.
So, I mean, are you almost done with that? Are you done with Sparrow? Is it like a finished project now, or
It'll
like?
never be done. I mean, there's always going to be more hardware wallets, and
Yeah.
Bitcoin does move forward. It does have new parts to it and new address types. We recently had pay to anchor, which is not a particularly interesting for, your
That's right.
cold storage. It's got other use cases.
It's really a layer 2 thing.
It is, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, it is also a layer 1 thing, right? So you have to
Right. It's
you
protocol,
do
yeah.
have to support it, and you do have to recognize it. Otherwise, you're kind of missing part of how the protocol works. And I think I want to reward those users who stay up to date and want to experiment, and I want to give them those little kind of UI rewards of seeing, oh, I've got, so pay to anchor, you would, as you would imagine, if you create a pay to anchor output, you've got a little transaction graph and your little anchor,
Oh, that's cute.
which
Okay,
kind of, it
yeah.
just gives you a little bit of reward. And I think that that's important because we want people to remain engaged with the protocol and understand it. And that's what Bitcoin's about, right? It's about, we all take part in it, and we all try and contribute, even if it's just educating ourselves about what's going on.
Definitely, yeah. Cool. So, is there any other features that you think that users don't use often enough, or that you wish people knew more about that exist in Sparrow, other than like little Easter eggs like anchors?
I mean, I think the one that I just recommend to everyone that they use, just, in the tools menu, there's a restart in, and the restart in is restart in testnet or signet or whatever it is, and it
Okay.
allows you to try things out without any real funds being at risk. And
Okay.
it's just the perfect learning place. It's where I do all of my development work, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm using that all day, every day. It works very well. A lot of people are, for example, scared of using multisig, and I always recommend, like, you're just going from a 1 of 1 to a 2 of 3, right? That's what you're doing
Yeah.
with multisig. So go to testnet, try it out, set up a wallet. The worst that happens is you lose some testnet coins, which are worthless. So that's
Hard to get, but worthless. Yeah.
well, testnet 4 is actually fine.
Okay. Are
So
there like good faucets for it?
they
or?
are, yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So if you restart in testnet 4, not testnet 3, you can get coins very easily.
That's good to know. Yeah. Very cool. Is there anything else we should talk about, or that you want people to know about, or what you're thinking about in Bitcoin recently? Like.
I mean, for me, it's one of my key focuses remains the privacy angle.
Right. Yeah.
I'm always trying to figure out ways that we can spend and receive Bitcoin in a more private manner. So that's kind of where a lot of my thought goes, even if it's quite difficult these days to find good ways to do that for various reasons. But I hope, I don't have, I've got some ideas, but I don't have all the answers. I just hope that that's an area that the wallet can further improve in.
Cool. Yeah, privacy is great. We're doing a privacy conference in Riga. Got a shout out for that August 7th and 8th. So if you want to come talk about privacy and Bitcoin, we'll be doing a Bitcoin plus plus event then. Maybe you'll be able to join us. Poor Craig. I keep telling him he has to come to all my conferences. So we'll see what he's able to make too. Great. Well, thank you for your time, Craig, and hope to see you around at more Bitcoin events soon.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa.